What's up, Attack MMA? I'm your host, Zach Weicker, and today we got a very special guest. He's a professional fighter with a 24-13 record, only fighting for Rizin at Rizin 45 on December 31st. Please welcome John Dodson. John, how you doing today?
I'm doing awesome, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent, man. And looking at your year, this is going to be your fourth fight, so you've been very active fighting between two promotions in BKFC and Rizin. So how blessed do you feel to have the opportunity to fight for two great promotions?
Man, I feel extremely blessed because of the fact that I get to go ahead and be the two best division or best organizations for my division. Like BKFC has the Rizin Flyweights coming through, and since it's a new promotion, I've been knuckling everybody else's skull in and becoming the world champion there. And hopefully I'll be able to do the exact same thing out in Rizin. As they're having a first title fight for the Rizin Flyweight title with Horiguchi fighting some unknown person that I would claim that Horiguchi's going to go ahead and win. I'm going to go ahead and beat up Hiromasa and just solidify myself as the number one contender for it.
Definitely, man. And this is your fourth fight this year. So how important has it been for you to be so active?
It's super important because of the fact that, time isn't on my side. Like the year's creeping up, and for me to go ahead and step out from the spotlight is going to be closing in soon. So I need to go ahead and do as much as I can with the short amount of time I still left in this fight game and make sure I make myself more proud than anyone else.
Yeah. And you mentioned that time's not really on your side, and you are 39. You don't look 39 out there, and you have been very impressive as of late. But what inside you keeps you to have that drive, and it keeps motivating you to keep getting out there and keep fighting and keep putting on great performances?
Be honest with you, I just don't want to be forgotten. So I want to go out there and keep on creating a legacy for myself to where my name will be continuous remembered throughout all time. You know what I mean? Like everyone always wants to know, they have that moment where they know that they have to go ahead and hang it up. And a lot of those people are punch drunk, getting beat up, or just getting continuously knocked out. Like Tony Ferguson's coming up fighting up pretty soon, and he's been on a 7-fight losing streak, and he should be one of those dudes who want to give it up, but he can't. Like I don't want everyone to have to be in that same boat as he is, where it's continuous loss after loss and just keep on begging for fights. I want to know when it's my time. It's my time. I'm just gonna relax and enjoy what I did in the sport and move on to something else.
Yeah. And you said you don't want to be forgotten. You want to be remembered. So when your career's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered in the sport?
I want to be remembered as one of the greatest strikers of all time, like one of the most feared ones. Like everybody who knew whenever time I stepped into the octagon or the cage or ring or the squared circle, that somebody was going to get hit hard, and I'm going to be with some blistering power, blistering speed, and making sure that I'm just faster than lightning.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I can tell you, I don't think you will get forgotten. I do think you will remember your name for a long time. And to go back to Horizon, it has been roughly a year since you last fought for them, also on the New Year's Eve event. So how excited are you to compete on the New Year's Eve event once again?
Oh man, it's so exciting because of the fact that I get to do it back to back. Like the first time it was a dream for me to go ahead and do it, and now the second time that I'm coming back out for it, it's just gonna be just on a reawakening. Ryzen's like this New Year's Eve card is pretty much like their Super Bowl for MMA, and all fight it out in Japan. This is just their time with this, like their celebration, and I want to go ahead and give what the fans want to see. Something so memorable that they'll never forget it, and a finish that they not quite seen before.
Definitely, man. And as have you done it last year? What do you recall from being in that giant New Year's event from last year that excites you to do it once again?
Man, there's the fans, the crowd that gets there. They get there at 2 p.m. for the very first fight, and they're there to the very end. So they're always so patient, they're so calm, and they're willing to go ahead and be more well educated than anybody you've ever seen. Like they know what's going on, they see the ins and outs, and they actually enjoy more of the scramble type situations than anything else. Instead of like the barrage of the punches and the crazy mayhem and brutality that we see in America, but out there, it's just all about the technique and the beauty of the art.
Yeah, man. I love the Japanese culture and their fans. And I guess to kind of like go dive in a little more into that, what do you think is so special about their fan and their culture base that makes them stand out compared to other cultures like America or the UK and those other MMA fan bases?
Well, out here we're taught to go ahead and play certain sports like football, wrestling, and track and stuff like that. But without over them over there, They always implement a type of martial arts, teach them discipline so that they can go ahead and understand more of the fight game and respect it a little bit more. Out here, we just want to watch fighting because it's a brutality and everyone can watch two bums fight on the side of the road and be entertained. But with them, they want to understand the skill and the technique and the preparation that leads up to it.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I agree with exactly what you said there, as they're definitely something special and they're something unique. And when you watch these shows, you can tell that the crowd has a true appreciation for the sport. And for this card, you'll be fighting Hiromasa. So what's your thoughts on your opponent's skills and strengths?
The skill that he has is very unique. He loves to be in the scramble type of situations, and he loves to go ahead and create this whirlwind of chaos. And that's the best ways I can really describe him. He's just he's like the nicest way possible. He's just a clutch of different martial arts. He likes to go ahead and throw some like wide punches into a grappling situation to where he can scramble into a wrestling. If he can't get the wrestling, he goes back to striking, then go back into wrestling, then go back into jiu-jitsu, and then try to throw a flying knee. And then if he can't get there, he's gonna jump on your back, and then he'll lay down on his back just so he can sit there and take a quick breather, then go throw some little bit of punches, then throw a little bit more kicks, and then continuously. Yeah, as I'm talking, that's how fast this dude is literally fighting, and that's how his skill set is. He literally just goes in and just tries to do everything at once in 5 minutes to see if he can get it done. And if he can't, then he takes a long break for the rest of the 10 minutes.
Yeah, man. And if you do look at his stuff, he has not got a lot of finishes. As for a lot of his fights, it goes to the decision, it goes to the scorecards. And your last fight also went to the scorecard. So with those two factors in mind, does it motivate you a little more to get that finish?
Well, yes, because of the fact that I almost had that ninja choke sunk in so deep in my last fight, and I gave it up because I wanted to really soccer kick somebody in the mouth and knee him on the ground. I got to go ahead and live a lifelong dream. I like all these years of watching Pride. I was like, I want to do it. So I was like aiming for it. I got yelled at between my corner. My wife was screaming at me, saying, "Babe, you let go of that choke." He was gurgling. He was choking. And I had to just tell her, just like, "Babe, I got to fulfill a dream. I got to soccer kick somebody in the mouth. Like in the US, I go to prison. Here, I got glorified."
Yeah, man. And that ninja choke is pretty rare. So would you still like to hit that move one day in your future?
Oh, absolutely. I want to remind people that I still have a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Like people always forget that I have such an amazing ground game because I'm so dynamic of a striker. Like I always go out there, hit people with barrages of punches. I would love to go ahead and finish somebody with a submission to pretty much close out my whole fighting career.
Yeah, man, that'd be great. And on this fight with Hermosa, stylistically, how are you looking at this fight?
I'm thinking that this is going to be a whirlwind of chaos. I'm going to hope, like, I can't predict anything because he comes out so hard, so wild, and so crazy. And wherever he wants to go ahead and take the fight, I'm going to go ahead and finish it there. Whether be still standing on the ground, on his back, him not going to be anywhere near taking me down. So where I know he's going to be on flat on his back as soon as I knock him down or take him down with any type of submission I want or takedown.
Yeah, man. And you mentioned to start the interview that there is also the title fight for the flyweights at the same card. And no matter what performance, no matter how the fight goes, if you win, do you feel like you deserve to fight for the winner of the newly crowned championship?
Of course, because of the fact that I've been preaching about it so many times. Every time I stepped there into the Rizin ring, I told them I'm the best flyweight in the entire world. There's nobody better than me. Demetrius Johnson says he fights at flyweight for ONE FC, but we already know that's 135 up there. So I am the king of the flyweights right now. And if they want me to fight Horiguchi, I would sit there and finish the dude and silence the critics. His karate style versus my explosive power of boxing, we'll see who can win in those types of dynamics. Will it be his feet versus my hands, or the showcase of his wrestling ability versus my takedown defense? It's gonna just play it in the cards and see who's gonna, or who the gods favor the most.
Yeah. And what's so special if you get that belt is you would be creating history being a BKFC champion and a champion in a major organization in MMA like Rizin. So how motivated are you to create history and become a double champion?
And that's why I said we started this whole conversation. I'm trying to make sure that I do not get my name forgotten. And this is going to be the way for me to go ahead and do it. Cementing it and doing two different styles of fighting with being bare knuckle and then into mixed martial arts. has not been yet, it hasn't been done just yet. And hopefully one of these days I can get an SB for this. Like, I mean, these people need to go ahead and recognize your boys for doing something amazing. And if I have to go out there and go snatch a boxing title, I'll go steal a WBC, a WBO, one of those other ones as well.
Yeah, man. Definitely need more recognition on your name. And on the BKFC, you have started that roughly a year ago, similar to Rizin. So what was the original thought process in getting into the BKFC?
Not to. Be honest with you, man. I was like, this is like a sport where you're constantly getting battered, you're looking vicious, and everybody that's like I've seen come through with this, they either look like a horrified, disfigured Frankenstein creation, getting mangled and just chopped up. And my brother was like, I want to do this. I was like, for real? He was like, yeah, man. Like, if I get into this, you're coming with me. And I was like, no. So I went to the tryouts, cheered him on, had him go through with it. And then he had like 4 fights like lined up. Every single one of them fell through. So they were coming to Albuquerque and they asked me if I wanted to. And I said, only if you put my brother on the card. Like, you guys, like, basically told this dude he was a part of your guys' roster. He hasn't had a single fight. Let him show his case, his skills, and then I will go out and highlight the card. And sure enough, both of us on that exact same night got 2 awards. He got knockout. He got knockout of the night, and I got performance of the night. So I think I did it better though, because I knocked my dude out 4 times in a row with Ryan Benoit, and just sitting there just mollywopping him every single time that he decided to stand up.
Yeah. And on knock you out, you make it quick in there. I think all of them under 2 minutes. So you're doing it in very oppressing fashion. And did you expect for your BKFC run to go like this, or did you expect to get blooded up and to be in these wars, but still would come out on top?
You know what? I didn't expect anything really. The thing that I really expected to go into the bare knuckle is breaking my hands. Like, I know I'm gonna have to go sacrifice these bad boys right here in those bare knuckle fights. And I know I keep like anywhere like interview I've ever done, I always continue to say I'm gonna sacrifice my hands for these fights. And that's what I literally have to do. I have to be prepared to go ahead and break every bone in my every bone in my hands, not my body. That'd be kind of weird. But break every bone to my hands every time I land a strike, a counter, and trying to evade, or even trying to go ahead and potentially crack them on top of their forehead. Like, those are the places where I'm trying to avoid hitting. But it's the nature of the sport. I know if I want to win, I need to give up something.
Yeah.
For that win, I'm definitely gonna give up these hands.
Definitely, man. And even though both MMA and BKFC are both combat sports, they are very different. So how have you enjoyed fighting in BKFC compared to when you fight in MMA?
I enjoy fighting in BKFC because of the fact that I don't have to worry about getting taken down. I enjoy leg kicks, but I wish somebody would accidentally kick me in the leg so I can just go ahead and punch him in the mouth even harder. Because to tell you the truth, like, that actually gets me more motivated to hit somebody harder when I get leg kicked. I know different type of things. If I did like a Muay Thai bout, I think I would enjoy that one a hell of a lot more. But with the BKFC world, like, it integrates the whole clinch game, and actually the greater aspect of what I enjoyed throughout everything in my whole boxing career is dirty boxing. Being in that clinch, staying on the inside fighting, and making sure we're hitting those little precise angle cuts by cutting around the corners and making sure we can manipulate the whole ring to how we want it to be.
Yeah, man. I think whenever we see you back in the BKFC cage, it will be, or not the cage, the ring, it'll be a great performance as you always put on. And as you're a former tough winner, I'm kind of curious on what your opinions on the recent season, your opinions on the recent season with Conor McGregor. Did you watch it at all? And if so, what are your opinions on the season?
I really didn't watch the season of Ultimate Fighter because of the fact that, like, was kind of like a slap in the face.
Yeah.
Like, they brought in some overtired people or some veterans that they decided to go ahead and boot from the UFC, and then brought in some like fresh recruits, and like, where knew all the vets were going to go ahead and demolish all these these young kids that had no idea what was going through. Like, they were putting underneath the pressure, putting on the spotlight, and some of those dudes actually were already in the Ultimate Fighter. The guy who I think who won was like the only person to ever win tough twice.
Yeah. definitely a unique atmosphere it was for Tough, and it's definitely not as good as it used to be. Definitely, they have not shown as much drama, and they don't show like the training aspect as much and the weight cuts and stuff. So definitely not the same as when you were on it. But for your season, what would you say you recall most from that whole experience, from being in the house, winning the tournaments, and everything else in between?
Man, the Ultimate Fighter for me was like the greatest boot camp I've ever had. Like I never got to go ahead and have like a kids camp when I was younger, and that was like the closest experience I can actually tell people, because like I got to go ahead and just be locked in a room with a bunch of friends and get to do what I enjoy doing the most. I trained my ass off, got to go ahead, eat some great food, meet some great people, enjoy some experiences, and kind of just bullshit majority of the time. We
Yeah.
worked out for 8 hours, or not eight, like 6 hours a day, because we have 2 hour training sessions in the morning, 2 hour training sessions at night. And then during the day, we kind of just fucked around and try to showcase our own skills, whether it be dancing, backflips, doing a whole lot of swimming aerobics, or recovering in like this little recovery room that they gave us that nobody actually got to see in the Ultimate Fighter for our season.
Yeah, man. And in the finals, you did beat TJ Dillashaw, who recently retired. And there's a lot of like questions on retirement. A lot of people don't think he's actually retired. A lot of people think that maybe he is retired. So, what's your whole opinions on the TJ Dillashaw retirement? And do you think we see him back in the cage in the future?
I don't think I will see him back in the cage in the future. TJ was a phenomenal fighter going out there. He just did everything very smart. Like the guy was a brilliant person to go ahead and be very marketable. Because like even into going into Ultimate Fighter, I didn't know who he was, because I did my homework on 64 fighters that were potentially going to be in the Ultimate Fighter house at 135 and 145, and his name never crossed my mind. So how he got himself to go ahead and get to the UFC, how he promoted himself to go ahead and fight for the world title and actually gain the world title and becoming like one of the greatest bantamweights that the UFC's ever seen. Man, like he's just super, super talented, super smart. Even how resilient and how he is when he built his new team as well with his gym, like that facility is huge. If you haven't seen it, it's like some of the greatest fighters that are there right now with Cub Swanson and everybody out there. So, like I said, I don't think I will see him back inside the octagon anytime soon, but we might be able to see him creating his own type of thing, like how Game Bread has his fighting, and also with Anthony Pettis having his own like organization as well. He probably has some way to go ahead and have a feeder fighters going into the UFC, like how they look at LFA or CFC or CFCC.
Definitely, man. I always feel like even if he doesn't get back in the cage, he definitely loves the sport so much. So he'll definitely be involved in it in some aspect. And on the UFC, you've done a lot. You've had tons of accomplishments. So, would you say are some of the memories that you're most fond of?
The most fun, like people don't understand, like the people who are behind the scenes for the UFC, those are my favorite people in the world. Like Heidi, man, Burt Watson was one of the dudes. House was a great dude. Like Tate, Brad Tate's like one of the funniest dudes ever. Like if he ever, and if he needs to go ahead and give me like, I hope that dude gets this job to be the best cut man in the UFC. He didn't even know how to wrap hands until he sat there practicing on my hands, and I had to teach him how to go ahead and wrap people's hands. And now he's out there highlighting himself, looking like a goat, like a grizzly bear with some like white hairs right now. But yeah, like everybody on the behind the scenes, they were like, they are all the people that I remember the most, and those are my fondest memories, because I got to interact with so many great people that weren't fighters. They're just people who always want to help everyone. Like they were so helpful. They wanted to keep like see what we're doing, via like the ins and outs for any state that we're at. Like I had a bunch of questions where it would be the best places where I can go play some video games and go get some food or even get some ice cream or something. And they would help me out go do that all the time.
That's awesome, man. And my final question for you is we're about to hit 2024. So, what are some of your goals inside the cage and outside the cage?
Inside the cage, I want to go ahead and make sure I'm collecting as many titles as possible to the boxing ring. I want to go into box professionally, hopefully, in the near future. I know there's a professional boxer that wants to come into bare knuckle, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce him to my fist by giving him a warm welcome by blooding up his face as quickly as possible. And then as soon as that happens, I want to go ahead and beat him for his own boxing title. So keep my fingers crossed. I ain't saying any names just yet because it hasn't been worked in the papers. But once the contract gets signed, we'll see how it goes. And then outside the cage and outside the ring, I want my team to go ahead and do the best that they can. I'm gonna help out with my team with being nobody's villains, MMA and fitness. So my young generations are going to be the next future stars.
Definitely, man. That's great to hear. And is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to shout out before you head out here?
Yeah, man, I want to shout out to Super Rare. Thank you guys for all supplying me with all these amazing gear. Not only them, I want to help tell Endurox. Thank you guys for going ahead and help my endurance and my performance level be on next top tier. OnlyFans, you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. Subscribe. It's always free. I'm not posting anything about none of my magic stick. It's all about tips and tricks so that everybody can become a better fighter and check out my daily life.
John, that's awesome, man. I want to thank you for coming on. I wish you the best of luck on the New Year's Eve event. Folks, that'll be all for today. Until next time. Peace.